Hey, what's up, everybody? Carlo D'Angelo Legal. You know, we're going through some trying times right now. We're all trying to adapt to this remote work situation. So I wanted to try to stay in contact with everybody, provide some valuable information that might be beneficial for everyone in our community to know. Some of you may know that Governor Abbott issued a new executive order yesterday, and it made some very significant changes to the criminal procedure rules here in Texas. And I wanted to briefly summarize those for you. I've also got a Facebook post that kind of goes into detail about these, but things you should be aware of as we go through this current COVID epidemic. Article 1703 of the Code of Criminal Procedure discusses pretrial release on PR bonds. That provision has been suspended to the extent necessary to preclude the release of persons who have previously been convicted of a crime that involves physical violence or the threat of physical violence, or to any person currently arrested for such a crime that is supported by probable cause. That means that those individuals that fall into that situation, who have those previous convictions involving physical violence, may not be eligible for release on a PR bond as long as that executive order remains in place. Now, all of this can be brought to the attention of a judge. However, this executive order will be something a court will consider. Another provision is 17.151 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. This has been suspended with respect to the automatic release of individuals who are in jail in the event that the state is not ready to proceed to trial. Currently, courts are not holding trials because we are under an executive order that prohibits gatherings of 10 persons or more within a confined space. It would be impossible under this scenario to pick a jury. It'd be impossible to call jury duty for people to show up, hundreds of people to sit and wait to be selected. If you're in custody, you're normally entitled to a speedy trial. However, given this executive order, which I'm sure may be challenged by some person who is in jail, who wants a trial, and who doesn't want to be held longer than they should be, you can make an argument under the speedy trial rule that if the state is not ready to proceed, you should be entitled to a release from custody. Well, this executive order suspends that provision of the law. It will remain to be seen how this is going to be interpreted by courts if it is challenged. Article 15.21 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure is also suspended to the extent necessary to prevent persons to obtain automatic release from jail of the county where the offense is alleged to have been committed. Now, this applies to people who have been detained, and by the 11th day of their commitment in another county, they normally would be entitled to release if that other county doesn't come get them. That provision has been suspended as well. Other relevant portions of the Code of Criminal Procedure you need to know about are 42.032 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. This is also mentioned in the governor's executive order. It is suspended to the extent necessary to preclude the grant of a commutation of time for good conduct, industry, and obedience to achieve the release of any person who has previously been convicted or is currently serving a sentence for a crime that involves physical violence or threat of physical violence. And no authority should grant the commutation of time for such good conduct under the current COVID executive order. 42.035 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure has also been suspended to the extent necessary to preclude release of any person to an electronic monitoring program rather than being confined in jail if that person has a previous conviction or is currently serving a sentence for a crime that involves violence or threat of physical violence. You can see the underlying theme here. The governor is taking extraordinary measures to make sure that people that have prior histories for violent crimes are detained and not subject to release. Again, it's going to be up to the courts to interpret this, and I'm sure there will be challenges across the state as these issues come up. Finally, Sections 418, and forgive me, I'm reading this because I don't have it committed to memory. Sections 418.1015B and 418.108 of the Texas Government Code are also suspended to the extent necessary to preclude any county judge or mayor of a municipality or any emergency management director from releasing a person under any circumstance that is inconsistent with this order. Now, there's a caveat to all of this, that nothing in the order prevents the lawful exercise of authority by a county criminal court judge, district judge, or appellate judge in considering release on any individual basis for health or medical reasons, provided that proper notice is given to the state and they have an opportunity to be heard. What that means is that the district attorney, if presented with a request for a release, will have to take that up with the court, maybe by way of a telephonic hearing, or if there is a limited way to have a hearing in an emergency situation where health is at risk for the inmate, then the courts might consider an exception to this order. I hope this information is helpful to you. Everyone, please continue to be safe out there. Continue to take the measures necessary to flatten this curve so we can all get back to the work of doing justice in this state on both sides. That applies to the district attorneys as well as the criminal defense bar, who need to make sure that our clients' rights are protected to the extent necessary. But of course, now we're having to balance that against this pandemic and what it is doing to the movement of cases through the court system. Continue to stay in touch with me for updates. You can always follow me on Facebook, and I'll continue to put out as much content as I can under the limited obvious circumstances that we're working with: bad lighting, no haircuts, and working from remote locations. All right, stay safe, everyone. Thank you.